as I was saying from the last video, I was raised in that religion, and it affected me growing up. I mean, honestly, the first time I even knew that I ran into someone who was in the community when I was in my lower 20s, my first job, our manager was gay. Although I didn't know it for the first couple of years, the two assistant managers at some point realized it, and they're all like, oh my goodness, because back then where we were, you didn't run into it too much. And eventually did figure it out, but we were all friends and enjoyed each other. But even though by that point I wasn't active in that religion and I didn't have a problem, I had been raised, also just being in my early 20s and a boy, even sweeties, they were raised to throw insults and stuff like that. And, I would use gay as just a random insult. And to me, it didn't really mean anything. It was just, I'd never run into anyone who was in the community, and I was raised that, oh, this is bad, even though I didn't really believe it at that point. But it was just a random thing. But there was one time I was talking with one of the assistants and my manager, and there was some music playing. And at that point, I didn't listen to pop. I like more now, but I listened to heavy metal back then. But I like all kinds. But there was some music playing, and I was just like, oh, this is so gay. It was just a joke. And my assistant manager was like, oh my goodness, Ken. I'm like, what? I mean, I literally did not know what I did. And then she's looking at my manager, Eddie, and I turned to Eddie, and then it suddenly clicked. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, Eddie. And he had some glue. We were doing something. He's like, you want this glue in your hair? I mean, he was laughing because he knew I didn't mean anything by it. But that taught me a lesson right there. I'm like, okay, I got to stop using this. And in fact, we don't need to insult, even generic insults that don't pick on anybody. There's no reason to do that. It's not a good sense of humor. That's why I like wordplay. It doesn't hurt people. But this is all part of my learning process as I grew and experienced more things. It's like, once I realized it, it's like, I got to stop that. So I very intentionally cut that out of my usage. And I try to do other things too. And there was some other, one or two other slip-ups there too. Similar type of thing. I was like, oh, whoops. It's like, I didn't even think about it. But then once it happened, I'm like, I got to stop this. It's like, I got to pay attention to what's happening. Because, I never should have been raised that was an okay thing to do in the first place. And that it was just, it's just generic. It's not going to hurt anybody. Of course it's going to hurt someone. It's going to hurt someone who knows. And it also keeps the intolerance going. Even if you mean it as a joke and you yourself don't mean it, other people take it seriously. And it keeps the intolerance going. So we got to pay attention to what we say and stop that and stop teaching people to put other people down when they're just living their lives and they don't hurt you at all. Continue again.